Hello and welcome to Behind Every Successful Leader, where we celebrate the power of virtual support in business growth. I'm Holly Copsey, founder of Virtually Priceless and the Visionary VA Circle, and I'm here to highlight the incredible impact that VAs have in making businesses more successful. My guest today is Phil Bacon, founder of Marketing Managed. Phil is a marketing strategist with over 20 years of experience spanning in-house roles, agency collaborations, and consultancy. His career has taken him across education, food, engineering, manufacturing, and primarily technology, where he's been involved in almost every aspect and channel in marketing. His early career gave him valuable experience in managing complex marketing operations, working with multidisciplinary teams, which grew to include building strategies for businesses aiming to grow, launch new products, and enter new markets. Over the last 5 years, he's channeled his experience into building a 4-stage marketing process and supporting frameworks, and becoming a go-to authority on marketing tech stacks. Phil, welcome, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Holly.
So could you please maybe start by sharing with us the activities and tasks that happen day to day within your business?
So on day to day, it starts with things like client calls. And we've got, on a monthly basis, there'll be client reports as well. Some clients start mid-month, so we have to do ad hoc reports early on, and then we kind of make sure they fall into that monthly cadence. Then it's things like content production, content repurposing, running strategy sessions with clients, making sure they have a plan in place, production of email marketing campaigns, coordinating their SEO efforts, updates to their websites. All of those bits and pieces that sit in the background of marketing that you know you need to do, don't really want to do because you want to do the fun, shiny, sexy bits.
Yeah.
We've put it and then wrapped it up and called it the potato work. So
Love
it's
that
bare basic essential stuff that you have to do. So in the UK, it works as a potato. In France, it will probably be a baguette. In Spain, it'll be rice. Wherever we go, we'll relate it back to a dish, the basic part of a dish somewhere.
Yeah, love that. And at what point in your business journey did you realise you needed to bring in some virtual support? And how did you find your VA, Maryem Asim?
It was probably within the first year where I was starting to get a little bit overloaded with stuff to do. The first person I brought into the business was actually my sister to take over some of the social content production because that's what she did. Then we brought in an accountant and take the accounting stuff off me. And it's like, right, okay, I've got the bit of support on the actual doing part, and I've taken away one of the bits of things that I don't want to do. I don't want to do accounting. It's dull. And it requires somebody who knows what they're doing to make sure we're not paying too much tax.
Always a good idea.
Then I was like, right, okay, well, what's taking up the most amount of time? And most of my time is spent managing my inbox, or at least that's how it feels. And I'm not getting stuff done, feeding stuff back to clients after meetings, making sure notes go out. It's all those little tiny bitty bits that break my day up and break my flow. So it's like, all right, well, who sorts that problem out? I have no idea who sorts that problem out. I'd never come across the idea of a VA before. And then I got talking to an old manager that I worked with in a nightclub. She'd moved out to Spain and she has become a VA, a very, very good one. We had a chat and I was like, right, well, when we're at that point, maybe we'll have another chat. Then she was a bit too busy when we did get to that point. So, okay, well, she's not available. But I then understood what a VA could do for me. And it was that a VA could do anything. So fast forward, about 3.5 years on, we'd gone through a few trials with different VAs and nothing had ever stuck. And I was really, really hard up against it. And the things weren't getting done because they were landing on my desk and I wasn't getting rid of them. I wasn't batting them off fast enough. I wasn't replying to things. I was getting stuck in meetings. And that was causing me no end of stress because then I was working late at night to get things done. We'd had a baby towards the end of last year as well. So sleep patterns were all over the place.
Yeah.
Working patterns were all over the place because we're now trying to juggle 2 children and the ridiculous hound. And so I was like, right, what can I do? I went out to try and find a VA. We went and put an advert out on LinkedIn and we didn't get anybody that was the right fit from there. We had somebody come through who I actually ended up recommending to somebody else. Would have been a fantastic project manager if we needed a project manager. And I remembered we'd been dealing with this agency over in Pakistan who dealt with content writing. And what we did was we used them for our own stuff so that the team could focus on client work. I have a very strong belief that we should be doing our own marketing as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're a marketing agency. If we're not doing our own marketing, then we'll disappear, and that's quite a common problem for marketing agencies anyway. I sent the girl that's behind that agency a WhatsApp. We get on a call the next day, gave her the spec, and within a few days, I had 2 people to interview, and both of them were fantastic. But Maryem came through, and it was just there was a level of thoughtfulness that just gave her the edge, and it's that thoughtfulness that makes everything that she does that bit better, because she actually goes through it and thinks, right, what is going on with this? Why am I doing this? What does Phil need from this? And she'll proactively come to me with things and ask for, if she gets stuck, she'll come to me and ask the question. She won't leave me sat there waiting to have something done for 3 weeks. She'll come very, very quickly. And if I don't respond to her quickly, I'm in trouble, because she'll chase me and she'll hound me until I give her a response. And I've instructed her to do that.
Yeah.
And she is not fazed by this at all.
Brilliant. It's so great to hear that you finally found someone who's such a great fit. So what kind of tasks does she do for you in the business?
So she started off on research.
Mm-hmm.
And within a couple of days, she had access to my inbox. She deletes all the stuff that I don't need to see. She pins all the stuff I need to read and respond to, make sure things actually get dealt with. And also I see the good stuff, the stuff that I actually need to deal with. She also manually blocks out my calendar.
Mm-hmm.
So Calendly does some of that for me anyway, but not physically. It will look at the calendar and say, yes, I can fit something else in. But Maryem looks through my calendar and actually works out whether I can physically take any more that day. She'll go through and she backstops every single call with a 15-minute buffer zone either side of the call. So there is also no way that I can end up in back-to-back calls. I don't have to remind her to do it. She keeps track of our project management tool as well. So she's in there watching it if there's any tasks that are coming up as seriously overdue.
Mm-hmm.
I think if something slips by a couple of days, we've always built in buffer room on delivery anyway.
Yeah.
One of the other things beyond email and calendar management, so she's keeping up to date on our bookkeeping. So because I'm terrible at it. I was leaving it. There had been like 90 or 100 receipts that needed to be uploaded, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do those on a Sunday afternoon when it's raining or something.
And then it's such a huge task. Yeah,
it'll be 4 days before it needs to go to the VAT man. I'm like, I'm getting chased by the accountant, and I'm like, I don't really want to be chased by people. I don't like being chased. I want people to leave me alone, and so I can get on with what I do best. So she took over that. There's been a couple of occasions where she's come back to me with queries, not knowing where to assign something to.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a cost that goes against this, or is it this? Or is it this? Okay,
so
fine.
she's asking all the right questions.
She asks the right questions, and she takes it in as well, which means that I don't have to go back through these same problems and same questions and challenges each time. Then we took her on to content production, because whilst looking at her research skills, so actually I've got a whole load of content that I need. I've got ideas I want to produce, and I've got topics I want to produce content on. So she's gone off and done the research on those. She's gone off researched what keywords need to be put into them. So she's done the SEO. Essentially, she's done all the basic parts of SEO research for blogging. So she's done that. She's come back with questions that get commonly asked about those topics. And then she went off and she's done competitor research on each one. She's then gone through and written out questions for me to answer about each topic. Once I've done all of those, she's going to go off and actually streamline it all. So we've got these basically crib sheets for writing these pieces of content.
Yeah.
There is no way I'm going to sit down and write 50 pieces of content in a year. It just isn't time to sit there and do that. But we've already got to. She started that task about 6 weeks ago. There's already 10 out of 50 pieces done.
Yeah, amazing.
Ready to go at least.
Yeah.
And that's again the sticking point. Hi, me. It's not her. She's not the sticking point. And so I know that I'm on a train this week, so I'm going to sit there and actually answer a whole bunch of these questions.
Yeah.
Because I've got time. Also, I can look at my inbox. If I go and look at my inbox now, there's probably about 24 emails, but I've been on calls all morning.
Yeah, and that's manageable.
Yeah, but if she was working today,
yeah,
that list would probably be down to about 8 already.
Yeah. Yeah, so my next question was going to be about how having a VA has changed the way you work or helped you grow the business. And you mentioned obviously there one of the biggest things, which is saving the time. But I imagine when she's become such an integral part of the team that it must have also just given you so much more headspace as well and allowed you to move things forward that otherwise, like you say, would just be stuck and not get done.
Massively. I went to a conference a few weeks ago, and I was like, I wouldn't normally get a chance to go to a conference without thinking, oh my God, I've got to do all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My head was able to actually absorb information without thinking, I've got 3 client calls to do, I've got a bunch of content to produce because the team have already maxed out on it. No, the team are okay. They're fine. They're now asking her for support as well on various activities. She'll go off and do the research for them for their pieces.
Mm-hmm.
This is really, really good. It's like, okay, so I can go to this conference. I went to it and I absorbed. I did some networking. I came away with a couple of ideas and they jotted down on my phone. I thought, well, I went to this conference. Maybe I can go to another conference. So I did. And I'd gone to an AI no-code development conference, which is completely out of the world of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what we don't do. We're not a dev agency. So I was like, well, I want to know about it though. I've come away from it and we're now in the process of building our first 2 apps.
Brilliant.
Because I've now got time and space in my head and my diary to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's so important, isn't it? It's just amazing the impact it can have. So what would you say to other business owners who might be unsure about using virtual support? And as you mentioned, obviously you've had a few, not so great experiences where it hasn't worked out. So what have you been your learnings from that as well?
So my learnings from the way it hasn't worked out is partly down to making sure that they're a personality fit.
Mm-hmm.
A bad personality fit ends up being a drain, because you're just constantly chasing and getting frustrated, and generally their work, the way they work as well. So during that interviewing process, because you still have to interview them, just the same as if you're any other member of the team, don't go out to a VA and go to one and go, yeah, that will do. You're the right person, because they're not. So you don't know that until you're actually working with them. Interview them just like they're a normal team member, and that's the mistake we made on the first couple. We didn't interview them. I would also say that actually going through an agency is probably easier than going through direct. Now I know that's probably going to upset quite a few independent VAs out there, but being part of that, if you are part of a bigger organization, you then have the support that you need on a personal level. So if something happens, you can make that call and say, oh, I'm really sorry, but I need backup.
Mm-hmm. And
also, you're going to get more jobs from it as well, because they're out there doing that bit of work, so you don't have to.
Yeah.
So we've gone through this. We've now got to the point where we interview them just like they're a normal member of the team.
Mm-hmm.
We treat them like they're a normal member of the team as well.
Yeah.
We also set expectations from the off.
Mm-hmm.
You need to achieve these things. If you do not achieve these things, this is not going to work. Do you think you can achieve this? If they say no, it's a non-starter.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier to be that open with them at the very, very front.
Yeah.
And you need to be that open. You need to be willing to actually give them access to things. You have to be able to go, I will trust this person. And again, that's the other element of going through an agency rather than going direct, is that it's not just the person, it's the agency's reputation.
Yeah.
You're then not having to try and build a relationship with that person to get to a point of trust. You're paying for that trust of the agency, because if they get it wrong, then they're in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. But that clear communication and setting of expectations is so important. And it's a bit like children, isn't it? Having clear boundaries and everyone knowing what's required of them. It just, it makes things so much easier. So what are I guess you touched upon some of the top tips there for working effectively with a VA. But how do you guys communicate day to day?
So day to day, 90% of it is via WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, it's just WhatsApp messages going backwards and forwards. All tasks have to go into our project management tool. Everything has to go in there so that there's a full paper trail to go with it. Whether it's internal or external tasks, they all go in there. So we'll talk about specific tasks against the task. So it's written backwards and forwards. There'll be video clips. There'll be images and screenshots and things to explain certain aspects. I've sat down with 11 labs and recorded my voice. And I've also taken videos that I've done that are just me talking. I've put all of that into 11 Labs, so it now can reproduce my voice.
Amazing.
So she's now repurposing all of our blogs into audiograms that can then be used on YouTube.
Fantastic. So finally, if Maryem is watching this, what would you like to say to her?
It's very simple, and she hears this often anyway, but just thank you. You have made life significantly easier, and I can now get shit done.
Absolutely key. That's so great to hear. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat today. Really, really appreciate it. Where's the best place for people to connect with you if they want to learn more about you and your business?
Two places. Either check out the website, so www.marketingmanaged.agency, or find me on LinkedIn. Don't have a fancy one. I actually have the original name, but I've had it for a while. So
brilliant. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic rest of the day.
Thank you very much for having me, Holly.